Guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's review is going to be Deathless by Catherynne and Valente, and it was the first book on my November TBR, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, so I wanted to do a review on it for you guys. I don't think it's really well known, which makes it even better because it's great to recommend books that not a lot of people know about. And this is a modern day fairy tale, which isn't something I normally read, but I actually really enjoyed. It really reminded me of my childhood days, watching all these Disney princesses and stuff. There's a really sentimental feel to it, especially in the way that Catherynne writes. It has a really whimsical, dreamlike quality to it, but the way that I don't know if she did this on purpose, but she really sets apart the reality versus the magical world. It's set during Russia. Yeah, set in Russia during 1920s to the 1940s, so during the Soviet Union and the war that was happening in there. There are a lot of Russian history references in this. Some I didn't really understand because I don't know a lot about Russian history, but there was mentions about St. Petersburg changing its name to Petrograd and then changing it to Leningrad, and then changing it to St. Petersburg, and I hope I pronounced that all correctly. And Stalin, which I know because I studied him, and a couple of other historical figures as well. But I don't, well, as I said, I don't know a lot about it, so I sort of just ignored that bit of, like, those parts a bit. But if you are a massive Russian history fan, then I think you would enjoy this as well, because I think you'd like all those references and you'd be able to say, oh yeah, that's right, yada yada yada, because this book has, I think, two major themes: war and love. There's a whole lot about war, but it's really subtle, so you don't get all, so you don't really think that you're reading, because when you're reading about a war, sometimes it gets really dry, like soldiers on a battlefield, yada yada. But with this one, it's different, and then you get love, which is the plot line between the two main characters, and the two main characters are taken from a Russian folktale, The Death of Koshi, and the folktale talks about Maria, or tells about Maria Morvna, who marries Ivan Tsarevich, and she's a warrior princess, so she goes to battle, and in a dungeon she has locked up Koshi, who Ivan meets, even though he's not supposed to. Maria tells him not to go down to the dungeon, and Koshi ends up drinking 12 buckets full of water that Ivan brings to him, and he escapes with his magical powers, kidnaps Maria, and then Ivan tries to rescue her but gets killed. And then he gets revived by some powerful wizards, and then he ends up killing Koshi instead and rescues Maria. Deathless, though, puts a twist onto it and focuses on the fact that Maria and Koshi had a romantic relationship so they had a romantic relationship, and then Ivan came along, which complicated things a lot more. But I really liked that because it doesn't just focus on the black and white of things. There's a whole more grey area, so it's not just evil and like good triumphing over evil. So Catherynne did well in that area as well. With the incorporation of magic, I also like that she introduced a lot of magical creatures such as goblins and gremlins. Are they the same? Firebirds, because again, it grinds down, like, because again it emphasizes the fact that this is a world totally different to our own, and itchy eye. So like it emphasizes the fact that this is a world different to our own, and we can't really I think it brings us into another. It emphasizes the fact that it's a different world to our own, but it draws us in as well. And I get so lost in that moment that I'm not really aware of it. Like, I powered through the book. It was crazy. I think I finished in 2 days, which with the size of this, like, you could probably finish it in a day. But I felt like the child within me was so happy to just read about all those creatures and stuff, because like fairy tales, like, it's just great. Now what am I saying? God. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's review is going to be on Deathless by Catherynne and Valente, which was the first book on my November TBR. I finished it, I really enjoyed it, so I wanted to do a review on it for you guys. Deathless is based on a Russian folk tale called The Death of Koshi, and the main characters are Maria Morvna, Ivan, and Koshi. I think his name is pronounced Koshi, I'm going to say that anyways. But there's a plot twist to the folk tale, so in the folk tale, I think Koshi is the evil guy and he kidnaps Maria, and Ivan, who's married to Maria, ends up rescuing her. But in Deathless, Maria and Koshi actually had a romantic relationship, and then Ivan comes into the picture and makes things even more complicated. It's set during Russia in the 1920s and 1940s, so Soviet Union, and there are a lot of Russian history references in this. Some things I didn't really pick up on because I don't know a lot about Russian history, but there were mentions about St. Petersburg changing into Petrograd, changing into, oh, I forgot, Leningrad, that's right, and then changing back to St. Petersburg, and I hope I pronounced those right as well. And there was mention of Stalin and other historical figures, but I sort of just ignored those bits because I didn't really know much. But if you do have a massive interest in Russian history, this is already an excuse to pick this up because I think you'll enjoy the references. Because it's set during that war period, there is a large focus on war, especially death and life, because Koshi in this book is the Tsar of life and his brother's the Tsar of death, and they try to gain as much territory as they can between them, but because war, the amount of deaths are so much more than the amount of lives, the Tsar of Death begins to expand his territory, and it's a great exploration of like how much death can affect you, and how much war in general can affect everybody. It's not just about the soldiers on the battlefield. There are a whole lot more like about civilians and how they end up living because of the war, how people do survive even if they're not being affected by bombings and killings. So that was a good aspect of it. It was really subtle as well, so it wasn't really dry. Like, I know when I read a lot of war-based novels, they can be a bit dry, but this one wasn't. The other aspect of it was, the other main focus of it was love, especially the love between Maria and Koshi, and then Maria and Ivan, but also the love between family and friends. And I absolutely loved that Maria had friends who were magical creatures, goblins, gremlins, and there was this lady who I don't even know what she is, but I think they're all like Russian magical creatures. They appear a lot in folk tales apparently, but the magical creatures just really reminded me a lot of my childhood, just reading all those like fairy tales, which gave me a really sentimental feel, so I really enjoyed that. And I think the way that Catherynne writes is perfect for a modern day fairy tale as well. It's just really whimsical, dreamlike, you just flow through it and you're not really aware of anything around you. I also like that I think she structured it in two different ways. So when Maria, before she enters the magical world, she has more of a logical thought process. She's really smart about what she does, but as soon as she enters into the magical world, she's in this like whimsical state, like dreamlike state, and she's just not aware of reality, not aware of what her parents are doing at home, which I liked as well because it helped me like ease into the mood without really realizing that she's changed her tone a bit. I really enjoyed Koshi and Maria's relationship in this novel. It was pretty dysfunctional, but it really showed how much love can be passionate, can be both passionate and and also really, I guess, tired, like frustrating. Their relationship really grew at the beginning. And I don't know if I'm being influenced by 50 Shades of Grey, and I still regret reading that novel, but at the beginning, Koshi sort of appeals to Maria's sexual desires to get what he wants, to to take her away from her family, and she just accepts that, and she just, I guess she was sort of being submissive, and I didn't really like that part of her, because she's a female character, and like, I just didn't feel it was right. But I don't know if Catherynne was doing that on purpose. I don't know how to interpret that. But as the story progressed, the relationship actually grew a lot, and Maria actually got a voice, and she was able to tell Koshi, you know, things were going to work out on both of their terms, not just his. So I sort of overlooked the initial part of their relationship, even though I felt sort of uncomfortable about it. Other than that, though, their relationship was really interesting to read about. The addition of Ivan worked well because it explored human nature a lot, how like humanity works. So when Ivan came along, it gave Maria the choice of either living with Koshi or staying with Koshi, who was her fate essentially, or giving it all up and actually coming back to reality, to a world that if magic didn't exist, she would still be living in. She would have a husband, have a family, have children, and that's what Ivan could give her. So it gave more of a depth to Maria as well, which is great character development. I didn't like Ivan as a character because I was so attached to Koshi and Maria as a couple already. Ivan got introduced probably part 3 out of the 4 parts, so he came in too late, and I was like, you know what, you can go away now. I like that you've given a lot more complexity to the novel, but you as a character can just go away. So that's my thought about him. Overall, I think the novel was great. I flew through it. I read it in probably 2 days. You could probably finish it in a day. I mean, the size of it isn't that big. I only picked it up because it was $2, and I'm glad I did. I think I will be picking up a lot more of Catherynne and Valente's novels, just because the way she writes is amazing, and most of her other novels are also modern day fairy tales. I want to go back to my childhood, like who doesn't? It's time to reminisce, and I think modern day fairy tales are a great way to revisit. I can say that this is probably a lot more suitable for mature audiences. It's a lot more darker than the classic fairy tales, and a lot more explicit. Like, as I said, when Koshi appeals to Maria's sexual desires, and there are certain other things that happen during the novel that I don't think is suitable for younger readers. It sort of reminds me of the Grimm Brothers fairy tales, and if you like that, then I think you might like this. I feel like there's so much more to talk about, but I think I've covered basically the character, the plot, and the writing, so that's about it. I am going to give this a 4 out of 5 stars because I actually really enjoyed it, minus some iffy parts. So do check it out, and if you do, please tell me what you thought about it in the comments below, or if you've already read it, then just share your thoughts as well. Hopefully I'll be back with another video next week. I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!